Now, the longest part of this journey is the one that says lack of traction. This is where you try everything and nothing happens, right? It's a very, very long journey. It's a journey that is really complex. And one of the reasons that it's really complex is that this is a journey of failures. I want you to think about it, right? If this is a journey of failures and you're afraid to fail, in reality, you already failed because you're not going to go into this journey. Albert Einstein used to say that if you haven't failed, that's because you haven't tried anything new before. If you're going to try new things, you will fail. Now, once you realize that this is going to be a journey of failures and you are willing to fail, then the most important part to understand is that in order to increase the likelihood of being successful, you need to fail fast. Because when you fail fast, you have enough time to make another attempt, and another attempt, and another attempt, and another attempt. And if you're afraid to fail, you're not going to try new things. Now, for me, building a startup is really easy, right? I always start with a problem. So think of a problem, a big problem, something that is worth solving, something that the world will become a better place if you solve that. And then ask yourself, so who has this problem? Now, if you happen to be the only person on the planet with this problem, then I would say, you know what? Go to a shrink. It's going to be so much cheaper than solving a problem of a single person. Building a startup is expensive. It's not expensive by money. It's expensive by time, by effort, by commitment, by mindset, by everything. If not a lot of people actually have this problem, it's not worthwhile to solve it. Now, once you figure out that there are actually a lot of people with this problem, go and speak with those people and understand their perception of the problem. And only then go and build a solution. Now, if you follow this path and you really figure out this is a big problem and you understand the perception of the problem by the users and your solution works, it's guaranteed that you're creating value. If you start with the solutions, you might be building something that no one cares, and this is really frustrating. But the journey of Waze was interesting because we started in 2007 and we say this is what we're going to build. And we only raised capital at the beginning of 2008. Now, if you think of building a startup as a roller coaster journey, then fundraising is roller coaster journey in the dark. You don't even know what's coming. This is how much more intensive and more challenging it is. And so it took us from the summer of 2007 until the beginning of 2008 to raise capital. And then we started to recruit people and building the real-time version, not a PDA version. And we only launched the product in Israel at the beginning of 2009. Now in Israel, it was actually pretty okay. It turns out that everything is working. And then we launch globally. We basically say, wait a minute, if this magic works in Israel, it should be working everywhere. And so beginning of 2010, we launched Waze globally. Remember this slide? It simply did not work. It was not good enough. It was not good enough in Brazil. It was not good enough in the US. It was not good enough in Western Europe. It was not good enough in any place that really matters, right? It was actually good enough in 4 places outside of Israel. It was good enough in Latvia, in Czech Republic, in Slovakia, and in Ecuador. And that's it. And this is a journey of failures, of figuring out product market fit, right? And so you realize that it doesn't work. You go and speak with the drivers. They tell you what doesn't work for them. And then you build the next version and you know that you have addressed all of those issues and you know that this is it. And it's not. So you're doing it all over again, right? So you go and speak with the drivers, you realize what doesn't work, you build the next version, you know that this is it, and it's not. One iteration, another iteration, another iterations, whole year of iterations. In some of those, you're actually making a little bit of progress. Some of those, you're actually lesser than before. Some of those were actually leapfrog, which actually makes the difference. But you don't know which one is which. And this is why it's so critical to go and going through this journey, iteration after iteration, listening to users, iteration after iteration, listening to users, and so forth. And then 2011, it started to be okay. By the way, there is no one in this room that is using Waze since 2010. 2011, absolutely yes. We started to become good enough in multiple places. In the US, that was one metropolitan after that. So Los Angeles, and then San Francisco, and then Chicago, and then Atlanta, and Washington, D.C., and New York. One metropolitan after that. Even in Brazil, it was one city after that. Sao Paulo, and then Rio, and then Curitiba, and then one metropolitan after that. Europe, one country after that, or Italy, and then Netherlands, and then France, and then Spain, and then Sweden, and one country after that. And in 2012, Waze was actually growing faster than the entire industry combined, right? So you take all in-car navigation systems and all navigation devices and all navigation apps and everything, Waze was outgrowing all of them together. And then in 2013, Google came with a proposal to acquire us, and we simply said yes.